In this project, we're going to create a non-consent building. It's called a non-consent building because where I live, it's a small building and does not require a building consent to have it built and installed. Now there are limitations. It can't have services in it such as plumbing and drainage. It can have electrical. Its main requirement is its height and its size. It has to be less than 100 square feet or 10 square meters. But because it's such a small building, it has most of the things that we need in a bigger building. So we have to draw foundations, we have to draw a floor, we have to create walls, doors and windows, a roof, and we have to create drawings from it. So it's a nice little building that allows us to see quickly and easily how we create drawings using Archicad. Start Archicad. I'm using Archicad 22, and we're going to start with a new project. And I'm going to use the standard template that comes with my version of Archicad, Archicad 22 template. Let's click on the New button and we'll start with a brand new blank document. So there's our blank file. It's all ready to go. You'll also notice that this project also has lots of things already set up. So there's things in the project map already, there's things in the view map, and there's things in the layout book. We're going to leave those temporarily. We're just going to concentrate on building the building. There'll be another movie that actually goes through what these parts are. Let's start with our floor. We're going to use walls. So we're going to use our wall tool, which is over here. And when we use our wall tool, we can choose what kind of wall we want to make. If you double click on the wall tool, it will open up our default wall settings, and we can choose one of our standard walls. If you want to make it out of blocks, then certainly choose block. I'm going to choose just an exterior timber, which we call studs, not lumber, but it's an exterior stud wall. Just a plain, simple wall. Now this option here is where we just have a basic structure. This one has the composite, so we have lining on the inside, we might have cladding on the outside. For this project, let's just use something really simple, just a very simple wall. It's not going to taper, it's not going to be trapezoid, and we're going to create a not linked wall. So we have the ability to link our walls to the story above. Now we haven't covered stories, so we'll just ignore that. What we want to do is we want to have the wall not linked to anything, and we want to type in the height. Let's make it 12 feet, 3600 millimeters. So this is where we start to get a little bit more complex with Archicad. Here we can choose where we see these walls. Do we want to see it on the home story only, or do we want to see it on all relevant stories? Now we're going to draw everything in the home story so that everything is visible. Archicad uses a concept called stories and layers to control visibility of objects. So first of all, we have the stories, and stories are a collection of things like a story of a building. So it'll have the walls, the floor, the furniture, the plumbing, the electrical, all of that stuff will be in the same story. We use layers to define what things are. So stories are where things are, in the basement, in the first floor, in the second floor. Layers are what they are. Are they walls? Are they electrical? Are they plumbing and drainage? What are they? So we use layers to control the visibility of things and stories to put them all together into a group. You'll find that most of the things that you choose, most of the tools you choose in your template automatically give you the right layer. If they don't, then we can just change it. So we're going to create a simple wall, 90 millimeters thick. It's on the design walls layer. How are we going to draw this? Well, we have several modes that we can use. So we can draw a straight wall. We can draw a wall by clicking on points, like a polygon type wall. We can use this one, which is a rectangular wall. It'll create all four walls straight away. And this one is a rotated rectangle. So we'll choose this one here, the third one. Click to start, and we'll click to finish. Now just before we click to finish, this is a small building, 10 square meters. So if we make the first dimension 4.2 meters, 4200, the next one can be 2400. So we're making it 8 feet wide and about 14 feet long. Enter, and there's our building. Now it creates our building straight away. If we just have a look here, we've got tabs for the ground floor, we have a tab for the 3D view, and there's our building, already made. Back to our ground floor. I want to put a roof on this, so I've just used my mouse wheel to scroll into my view, and we're going to put a roof on. Here's my roof tool, and I can create a mono-pitch roof, or a single plane roof, or I can create a pitched roof. Now we need to choose which walls we're going to use. We could use this mode here, which is a hip roof. This one here is a gable roof. So we can click here, drag across to there, click again, and that creates our roof for us. So let's just have a look at our 3D view. Click on the 3D tab, and there's our roof. Well, the roof's a little bit low. You might notice the roof's a little bit low, so we'll need to select that roof. Then we need to go to this part here, just here, and let's make that about 8 feet, 2400 millimeters, and it just lifts our roof up. If we now zoom in, I'd like to select all of the walls. Make sure I've got all my walls selected and select the roof. So I'm just holding the shift key down so I can select all those. Right click, we have an ability to connect our walls to our roof. So we have an option here to trim elements to roof or shell. Choose that. We'll use the roof or shell that's currently selected. So I've got a roof here already selected. And we click on trim and it trims my walls. And that's done. If I delete my roof at any time, so let's just go here and I'll delete that roof. You'll notice my walls go back up to the right height. So back to my floor plan. So this time I'm going to create a mono pitch roof. Here it is here. So the first thing we have to do is define where the pitch line is. So what the height of my roof is. We could here change this and make that 2400 or 8 feet. And we click here to start. And we click there to finish. So this is defining the low part of my roof. I want that to be the upside, not that one. So that's the upside there. And now I can click to start my roof, click there, click to finish, there, and it has created my roof. There it is, you can see it. Let's just turn our view around. So I'm using the shift plus my middle mouse wheel button. Now you do need to select your roof again. So let's select it. There's our angle 30 degrees. That should really be 8 degrees. And we'll do the same thing we did last time. I'm just going to select everything like that. Right click, connect, and we're going to trim elements. And trim. And so now I have my first building with a mono pitch roof, and there it is. Now normally the roof is slightly bigger than that. I've selected my roof. Now I'm going to click on that top edge there, and I get several options here on my pet palette. I want to use this one here, the offset edge, because I want to bring this edge out just a little bit, just about 6 inches. I want to do the same with this edge. Now if I was going to do all the edges together, I could just use this one, offset all edges, and make that 150, 6 inches again, and it's just offset all of my edges together. And that's the start of my building. When we go back to a plan view, here, there's my roof. Now the roof might get in the way, so if I click on it and I go right click and I go layers and hide the layer, it will turn my roof off. And now I can go and do other things. The next thing I need to do is to build a slab. Let's look at my slab tool. Notice here it automatically goes on the design floors. So let's double click. We want to use a simple floor, not concrete structural. Let's see if we've got one which is plywood. There's a plywood floor. How thick is it? 20 millimeters. What's its elevation? -20. And it's on the ground floor current. Reference plane is to the top. 0. So 20 millimeters thick. It's there at 0. So this is measuring, the reference plane here is measuring to the top of my floor. So it's at 0. Again, we've shown stories, home story only, but I've been through that. Everything's going to be on this home story. And here it's already chosen the layer for us, design floors. Click OK. So we could use this method here, the rectangle method. So we could click here to create a floor from there to there. And that has created my floor. You may not see it, but if we try to select it, you might remember we have this magnetic selection here. Click, that's our floor object. We need to create our structure underneath our floor, but let's have a look in 3D. There it is there. If we want to tip this view up, so it's the shift and the middle mouse wheel button, right click on that roof, let's go to layers and hide that layer as well. And there you can see my plywood floor. We can also hide the wall, so we could select a wall, right click, layers, and we can hide that layer. So we're just looking at the floor at the moment. The reason I've done that is because I'm going to create the floor structure. Now later on this is going to be picked up by a forklift, so we want the joists to run long ways and the bearers to run across. So there we are. Let's hide our walls. I just want to select my walls and right click, layers, and you don't actually have to click on the object, hide layer, it'll turn my walls off. So let's start with our floor joists. They're going to run long ways. We're going to have 2 joists there, and then we have to have even number and 2 at the end. How are we going to do that? We're going to use a beam tool. So double click on the beam tool. What do we want? We want a joist which is 90 millimeters, about 6 inches. It wants to be 45 millimeters thick, and it's just a simple beam. So what about our elevation here? So the elevation is to the top of our object, minus 20, because it's going underneath our floor. It's on our roof beams, so we're going to change this because this is an important thing. We want this on our floor beams or our floor foundations. So let's choose floor foundations for this, because really they are the foundations. And let's go OK. So the first beam goes from here down to there, and you'll notice that my pencil colors in, and elements have been created that their position unseen story. So we're just going to go continue. Now where have they gone? We'll probably find them here. If we look at stories, if we double click, we'll probably find that object there on the wrong story. So it says that this object is actually on the ground floor. So we have to figure out what's wrong with this. Now one of the ways we can do it is to have a look through our settings, and one of the easiest ways to do that is Control T. So here we are here, we're going to show on home story only. Let's try that. Home story only, we'll continue, and now let's double click on ground floor, and now we can see our floor joist on our home story. When I zoom in, I can grab hold of that joist and I can move that joist to that end there. So that's moved the joist to sit at the underside of my plywood. Now if you've watched my earlier movies, you'll know there's a technique that I use, which is drag a copy. So we're going to go Control D for drag, click to move, come to this point, and you see the little plus next to my cursor. Let's hit the Control key again, click, and it's got another copy. So there's my first copy, there's my second one. Now if you find those dark or those heavy lines confusing, we can go to View, On-Screen Options, and we can turn off True Line Weight, and we'll just see the beams as they are. So let's select those 2 beams there, and we're going to mirror those. So click back onto here, this object. We're going to choose the mirror option, come down to here and find the midpoint. Now we should see a midpoint along this point there. There it is there. Click. Now come across to the other end of our building. Now don't click just yet. If you don't hit the Control key, it doesn't make a copy. So remember the Control key, the little plus is turned up. Click, and now I've got multiple copies. I need one of these. Click on that. We're going to multiply. So here we're going to multiply and we're going to distribute. So our building's about 2.4 meters. So what we really want is 4 copies, and we're going to choose the -1, so it's going to take 1 off the end. It should work just fine for us. So click OK. Remember, no pick path before creation. So we're going to start at that corner there, and we want to come up to this corner outside of that one there, and click, and that should evenly space my joists from there all the way back to there. Now we need another beam. So we're going to select a beam, make sure nothing is selected, Control T. This time our beam is 90 millimeters wide and it's 90 millimeters high, but it's now, what's its height? So we started off with 20 millimeters for our floor. So to get the joist, we had to go -20. Now we've got a joist which is -90, so that's -90 minus 20, which is -110. You have to do this mathematics in your head. And we're going to home story only, Floor foundations, okay. So where are we going to put our joist? Well, why don't we start by creating our joist right down that end there. That puts it at the end. We can move it, so back to our arrow tool. Let's move that joist from there to there. This is going to be my bearer. And then we're going to move it by about 100 millimeters. So it's easy enough just to move it one of those. And we can do the same tricks that we did last time. We're going to mirror that to the end so we get another one exactly the same place. We don't have to put our bearer directly under that wall. We're allowed to have it up to 200 millimeters. And 100 just makes it look a little bit nicer. So let's go back to our beam, click on it. We're going to mirror this. Find the middle point of one of these. There it is there. Don't forget the control key and click. Now we're going to create 2 more of those. So let's click on that bearer again. We're going to use multiply. This time we'll only have 3 copies. Again, we use the distribute and -1. No pick path before input, so click OK. So from that corner there, we want to measure down to that far corner there. I'll have an even number of joists. Now if I've got too many, I could undo that and do it again. So let's do this. Maybe we only have 2 copies. So click from there, down to there. And so now I can get a forklift and pick this thing up. Let's just have a look in 3D. Is everything the way we want? You can see here that I've got my joists and underneath I have my bearers. If I want to see everything as part of my model, let's go all, and we can see the entire building. So it's making great progress. Now what we want to do is to put some doors and windows in. Back to my ground floor. We're going to click here. So this is called our layer combinations, and clicking here allows me to choose layer combinations that I'm set up ahead of time. So plan floor, for example, I can see the walls and I can see the roof. I need a door or a window. Let's have a look here. There's a window tool. Double click on the window tool, and I'm using the New Zealand version, which has the CAD image, and so I can use my CAD image window. If you're using the other one, just use a basic window, one of these basic windows like this one. Double click, and that'll pick up all the options of that window. We've got the size, the height. Click OK. You need to go near a wall. So there's the center of my wall there. Click there. This wall over here. Let's find the center of that wall. There it is there. Click. Click again. So it's got the windows, it's got them numbered. And finally I want to put in a door. So double click on the door tool, and we're going to choose a single, how about a double door? I'm really looking for a sliding door. It would be quite nice. Let's just choose a double door like that one. Okay. And I'm going to put the double door just down here. Make sure it's on the outside. Click there. And the reason I put the door down this end is so that I've got room to put some cupboards or some cabinetry here, and I've got room to sit down this end. We might need to move this along the wall a little bit. So click on that, and then I can just move that along to give myself enough room. Let's have a look at our 3D model. There it is there. Let's spin our view. So there's my door. It's a double door, solid by the look of it. So let's go back to our door and have a look at the settings on this. If I select the door and hit Control T, it'll bring up the options for this door. So I could choose glazed, like that. And let's have a look in 3D. There it is there in 3D. If you want to make changes in 3D, you certainly can. So you can grab hold of that door, you can drag that door along the wall, and it'll fix the wall and put it wherever you like. If you want to change the type of door, Control T. It'll open up this where we could put that one there. We can choose no grid there. I don't want the horizontal grid. What sort of handles do I want? We could put handles on this door, and it's put a handle on for me. If I want to make changes to this window over here, I can select that window. Just make sure the green goes around the window. Control T. And what do we want? This window is just a little bit too high, so we'll just change that a bit. this window on this end, Control T again, and we're going to make this wider, but not as high. Let's go back to our ground floor plan, and you can see my windows have updated. So that is a quick way to get our building underway. If you want to make changes to this, for example, we might want to extend this roof, so we can click on the roof. Don't forget we go to the very edge of the roof, choose that one, and we can extend that out. Maybe we want to extend it out by about 14 inches, 400 millimeters. So that gives a little bit of an overhang to that part of the building.